Hey there, welcome back. So it is no surprise or secret here that I like to go on the internet, get a bunch of lists and articles together. In this case, being like 30 books you should read before 30, classics everyone should read, books you should read before you die, nonfiction books everyone should read, books to give you empathy and understand other people's perspectives, etc., etc. I just typed a lot of things into Google and got a bunch of lists, and now I wanted to formulate them all together and see just what books came up in multiple lists multiple times to get a feel on what the internet thinks you should read before you die, and just books that have literary merit to teach you and inform you something. Not to say that there's anything wrong with just generalized fiction and just enjoying that world, but honestly, some of these books also fall into that category because you can always learn something or get some feeling or emotions or empathy from a book regardless of its intent. So, this took way too long. Thank you, Goodreads, for categorizing things in the tab so I knew if I was dealing with a nonfiction book, a philosophy book, social, contemporary, like what it was. And let's get started. I'm not going to talk about every single book specifically because that would take an hour. So we're just going to put them on the side as they go, starting with classics. So these are the classics that showed up on multiple lists. Now, there were obviously a lot of American and British books, but I was very pleased to see that there were Russian, French, and just other ethnicities and countries books showed up saying the internet's like, hey, these are good books, read them. And the ones that I'm most interested in reading, like Moby Dick, I'm pretty sure there's like cycles of vengeance and revenge discussed, as well as The Count of Monte Cristo. Really looking forward to read that one. I need to read Beloved for a number of reasons. And of classics that I've already read, I'm enjoying Jane Austen and just her writing style, but it's not really 100% my thing. Kind of enjoying the audiobooks of them though. I do think it's important for like pop culture, books that have influenced society and just gone into mainstream, just influencing people's thinks and memes and all that. So Lord of the Rings obviously showed up on a lot of lists. I need to read that. I haven't even watched the movies, which I am ashamed to admit. I did not have the attention span for them. So I think I need to read the books first so I can enjoy the movies. So I will be getting to that in my lifetime. Also, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like, that's on my list, obviously. Historical fiction, I feel, is a great way to explore different time periods, different social aspects, and just get a good message across, but not relying on truth or nonfiction accounts. You're able to get your message across clearly and just combine lots of events into one setting to really streamline and just make the narrative of the story more concise. So I do appreciate historical fiction. I just don't like that historical fiction that I am presented with on the internet a lot of the time is like World War II. It seems like every historical fiction book that has been recommended to me centers around World War II. I don't want to read about the wars. I just don't. The Handmaid's Tale is the one that is most interesting to me, just for many reasons, women's rights and suffering, and just the majority of the stuff in this book, if not everything, has happened to someone in the real world, and it really feels like that's impossible. It couldn't have been, like, people can't do this terrible things to people, yet somewhere in the world this has been done to people. So really want to read that, as well as The Kite Runner and The Book Thief. I own The Book Thief. I started it. I enjoyed it. It's told from like Death's perspective during. Okay, this one is during the war. Okay, there are some war books that interest me. And I think it's this little girl stealing books. I didn't get far enough into it. I don't know why I put it down. In high school, a lot of the times that's what would happen. I would pick up a book and I would read it and I would enjoy it, and then school would happen or life would happen and I'd put it down, forget about it, get interested in another book, and then didn't go back to the one that I was enjoying. I still do that now. There's a little shelf of shame over there where I have started books that I am enjoying and just have not picked them back up yet because I started a different book. I blame the library websites because I only get them for a limited amount of time. Anyhow, memoirs. So I don't think there was too much overlap because you can get something from everyone's life story. So memoirs and autobiographies. So I think pretty much any memoir is just worth reading if it's something about the the person who you want to learn something from, or you want to see what their life was like. Marilyn Monroe, a president, Malcolm X. I read one, I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it on screen. It wasn't on any of the lists, but it was just a guy, was it a ramen shop? I apologize. It was a really good book. The cover was adorable, which is why I picked up the book, and I'm pretty sure the first opening chapter was talking about the designing of the cover to draw people in, and it worked for me. It was a bit of chef. It was just a really good nonfiction memoir autobiography book, and I think you can take away from anything. So don't really need a list to choose something like that. Social and contemporary. So many books to choose from. This had a decent amount of overlap between lists, but the ones I really want to read is... Okay, first of all, I got a beef with whoever made these lists because The Vanishing Half was not on any of them. I love The Vanishing Half. That is a fantastic book, and it's all about identity and your race and your heritage and your family and who you are as a person, and there's talk about sexuality, and it is just a fantastic book. I could not stop. Let me rant about The Vanishing Half for just a second because more people should have read it. I have never read a book that I have loved so much that every time the character perspective changed, or the point of view changed, or the topics changed, or the narrative choice of plot changed, I was terrified that I would not connect with this part of the story as much as I did the previous, and the book I loved so much would change into something that was only okay or I wouldn't enjoy. Never happened. I adored every page of this book, every character, every perspective, every message. I love that book. What current ones came up that I want to read? And every morning, the way home gets longer and longer. I believe this is someone talking about a family member has not autism, Alzheimer's, and just they're forgetting things and memories. I don't really know much about it, so I do need to read that one. Nonfiction, again, you can pick up any nonfiction book and learn something from it, gain experience from it. I'll always take in account of author bias and what the intent of the book was, the perspective they're writing from, and just remember bias exists, and just because it's written in a nonfiction book doesn't mean mistakes don't happen, misunderstandings don't happen, and it could be a little bit off from the true meaning, or there might be multiple true accounts. It's just hard to... Don't take everything in a nonfiction book as 1000% fact, especially in some of these things. I say that because one of the books I want to read is like Gun, Steel, and Germs or something. I don't know, something like that. And that one's looking at how different cultures developed at different rates and the history of the world and why the North versus East versus South, whatever, like different cultures, like why someone developed steel and guns and was able to conquer the world while other people were still dealing with like stone tools. And there's a lot of interpretation and biases and maybe a little bit of confusion on how geographical lines and weather patterns and plants and all this work. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews surrounding that book in terms of the author's understanding or not understanding. He's a very... I'm not doing a review of a book I didn't read, okay? So take things with a grain of salt. Also, Sapiens. That is another book I want to read. It's about evolution as far as I know based on the title. I just seen it everywhere, so yeah. Philosophy. Again, not a lot of overlap between lists because there's just so many philosophy books, but definitely something that you can learn something from, about yourself, history, religion, weather, etc., etc. One of my classmates' favorite books is The Alchemist, and that showed up on a very number of lists, so I'm looking forward to reading that someday. Yeah, and just in conclusion, for books that you should read in your lifetime, any books that get you reading and you enjoy are worth reading, obviously. I like ones that focus on different perspectives, lets me understand a viewpoint outside my own, or are just entertaining. But of course, my preference will always just be like supernatural thrillers or police dramas or police procedurals with some kind of weird twist to it. That doesn't mean I don't want to also read someone's memoirs or a history book. I would love to learn more about the Salem witch trials just because that's interesting to me. Yeah, I will talk to you later. This has been a very short video for a lot of work. I will talk to you later. Bye.